Hello again, and thank you for joining B4IC on talking about decoupling and the new term being used, de-risking. To start, we will like to talk about the original term, decoupling. Decoupling in international business refers to a disconnect between a country's investment market performance and the state of its underlying economy. According to Bloomberg, on an article titled, "Why Prospect of US-China Decoupling is Getting Serious," they explain the following. The obvious analogy is to personal relationships, decoupling being the opposite of pairing up. But trading partners can break up too. The UK did with the European Union through Brexit. And sanctions on Moscow forced many countries to ditch Russian exports. With China and the US, decoupling isn't seen as an all-or-nothing proposition that ends in an abrupt divorce. Most experts say it will be a slow, steady reduction in their economic interdependence. China traditionally serving as the world's factory floor, the US its biggest consumption engine. Decoupling is seen as one reason why Chinese president courted French president in April, or why the US struck a deal with Japan for minerals needed to make electric vehicles. And now let's talk about de-risking. De-risking is a fairly new term being used in the international stage lately. According to the United States Department of State, de-risking refers to the phenomenon of financial institutions terminating or restricting business relationships with clients or categories of clients to avoid, rather than manage, risk. When speaking about China and de-risking for the US and European Union, it means to decrease the dependency on the Asian giant as a source of finished goods and materials, but not to completely detach or abruptly stopping the process. Now that we have spoken about decoupling and de-risking, let's now talk about the United States and the strategy for a strong and long-lasting economic outlook. The US and the EU have begun plans to work closely with their regional partners in order to reduce risks during extraordinary events such as the recent healthcare events or the trade war between the United States and China. Another reason is to have different sources for production and materials, which makes the supply chain for any business more fragile. In particular, for the United States, there is now a movement to work closer with South and Central American countries to provide some of the vital resources and products needed. Strengthening relationships with South and Central American countries has included some unlikely partners, such as Venezuela and Brazil, showing how much the US is betting on the Americas for its future outlook. Along with global markets, we have also seen this in the private sector, with companies such as Apple having multiple vendors for its integral product parts. Finally, let's talk about the business opportunity of the current U.S. strategy of de-risking. Considering that the strategy of the U.S., South and Central American partners will now become major players to support the U.S. economy, which is the most important economy in the world. Major partners in the region will now see better trade deals, U.S. investment through private and government funding, as well as the preferential status of being the first option when looking for business partners. Major products and materials, which were once sourced from China or from other distant country, will now shift to being sourced from regional partners. Countries such as Colombia, Canada, Mexico, which has been a major U.S. partner for many years, will play a major role in the economic shift in a political way, as well as in providing some of these products, services, and production resources for the U.S. Costa Rica, along with Colombia, will see an increase in investment for technology development due to its political stability and currently being called the Silicon Valley of Central America. Colombia has also made a noticeable shift to have English as its second language and teaching it to as many of its citizens. Places like Medellin and Colombia have also become new technology hubs, providing and developing new technologies for the U.S. Thank you for joining us on decoupling and de-risking. Follow us on any of our social media to get more information.